Yvette, who's sitting here somewhere. He's in Israel with the other Josh Sturm. Rabbi Joshua Sturm has come here. He is the director of Renewal, and he's going to speak first.
Thank you.
Just think selfie here.
Got it. Oh, I like that. Thanks so much to Dr. Bright for organizing everything. I do know the other Josh Sturm. He's the better looking one. I once met him and I said, "This is what your future looks like." I think he was pretty scared. I am the other Josh Sturm. I'm from Renewal. Renewal is an organization that assists with those who are suffering from chronic kidney disease and really end-stage renal failure. And we assist them by helping them to find their kidney donor. Dr. Sullivan is going to talk a lot more about the transplant process, and we'll kind of pick up where each other leaves off. We'll talk a little bit more about kidney donation in general, but I want to just start off with a story. This is a story of a donor that came into our office about 6 months ago or so. And this donor had been through a horrific car accident, something that really nobody should ever know from, and a really traumatic experience. And this donor comes into the office and she says to us, she says, I was in this really terrible accident and I've had a lot of internal injuries. And because of my internal injuries, I've gone through a number of surgeries, putting things back in place and everything like that. And the surgeon told me in the latest surgery that unfortunately in the next upcoming surgery he's going to have to remove one of my kidneys. He said the kidney is actually fine, but for whatever reason he has to take out one of the kidneys. And she said, when I heard this, I thought of Renewal. And I wanted to know, I come here today asking, can I give my kidney to somebody else? If it's going to be taken out, can I please give it to somebody else? We said, wow, that sounds very noble of you. And the truth is, when I heard this, I was floored. Because I thought if there's ever a person in this world who has a right to be selfish and to think only of their own situation, and I'm telling you the situation was horrific, really, really terrible. And this is what she's thinking. She's thinking, how can I go and help somebody else? But that's what these donors, that's their mindset. They want to be able to help. And so this lady, we said, sure, we're happy to assist. We called one hospital that we work with. We only work with a few select hospitals, and we can get into later why we pick the hospitals that we pick. But we work with a few select hospitals, and we called one of them, and they said, okay, send her down for an evaluation. Any donor has to go for a full day evaluation. They give them tests from head to toe. If there's a test out there, the potential donor has probably gotten it. It's really an extensive thing because they want to make sure that not just is the kidney healthy, but they want to make sure that the individual is healthy as well. That they're not going to need this kidney later on in life. Obviously, everything is in God's hands, but to the best of their ability, they want to ensure that this kidney is not going to be necessary. They're not putting this person at any unnecessary risk by removing this kidney. And so they said, send her down for an evaluation. We said to them, does she really have to go for an evaluation? I mean, you have to check the kidney for sure. You got to make sure the kidney is viable and that it's healthy. But the full day evaluation, they're taking the kidney out anyway. They're throwing it in the garbage if you don't take it. So does she really have to go for the psychological evaluation and all the different scans and the MRIs and everything that she has to do? Does she really have to go for it? And the hospital said, you know what? You're absolutely right, but it's protocol. She's alive. That's how it works. A living donor has to go for an evaluation. It might not make sense, but that's how we operate. Okay, that's such is life. So we send her down for the evaluation. She goes through all of the tests, and there are two surgeons that operate when it comes to a kidney transplant. And I want to just mention, I'm coming today from two transplants. We did a transplant in Mount Sinai and a transplant in Cornell. Coming straight from those transplants, I'd like to report that, thank God, everybody's doing wonderfully. The kidneys are working, functioning in their new hosts, and we're grateful, very grateful for that. And so she goes down for her evaluation, and the two surgeons, as I was saying before, one surgeon is the surgeon who removes the kidney, the donor surgeon, and one surgeon is the recipient surgeon who puts the new kidney into the patient's stomach. And the surgeons looked over all of her files, The surgeon who's taking the kidney, who's putting it into the stomach, who's putting it into the recipient, I should say, it's not really the stomach, that's not accurate, as I'm sure the doctor will correct me, but what we call colloquially the stomach. But she's the surgeon who's putting it in. He says, the kidney is fine, I'm happy to take it, let's do it. The donor surgeon said, I'm not comfortable with this, I'd rather not. For whatever reason, they didn't want to do it, and so the hospital said, you know what, thanks, but no thanks. We don't want to take this kidney. This lady comes back to us and she says, please, there's got to be something you can do. I want this kidney to go and help somebody. And so we say to her, if you still want to, we'll call one of the other hospitals we work with and we'll see if they have something different to say. So we called one of the other hospitals that we work with. I don't want to mention the names specifically because we only work with a few select hospitals. But we called one of the other hospitals and we spoke to one of what we consider to be one of the top transplant surgeons in the country. And he said, by all means, send her down and let's take a look. He said, in theory, it sounds okay. He said, she's got to go for the full evaluation. So we went through the whole spiel again. We said, listen, they're throwing this kidney out. Does she really have to go for a psychological evaluation? He said, you're absolutely right, but it's protocol. So we don't have anything on the books to deal with this kind of a situation. So if she's alive, she's got to go for the evaluation. Fine, she goes down for the evaluation. The doctors take a look, and everything looks wonderful. The surgeon says, I would love to take this kidney, I would love to deal with it, we're in. But you should know, and this is an extremely important caveat, he said to her, your surgery is not going to be like a normal donor surgery. You see, a normal donor surgery takes about 2 to 3 hours, it's under general anesthesia, and the recovery is around 2 days in the hospital, and then a couple of weeks till they're back at work. 2 to 3 weeks or so till they're back at work. And the surgeon told her, that your particular surgery, because of all the scar tissue and all the, I'll leave to the medical experts exactly what the reason is, but he said your surgery is going to take around 9 hours. Over three times the amount that it takes a normal surgery. He said, and not only that, but your surgery is going to be quite painful. The recovery is going to be quite painful. Because of all the other issues that you have, it is not going to be an easy recovery. You'll be fine. You're healthy, you'll be able to make it, but it's not going to be easy. Not that any surgery, any donor surgery is easy, there is pain associated with it, but most of the donors tell us that it's considered to be minimal. They definitely feel the pain, but it's considered to be minimal. This one is going to hurt a lot. And you know what she said? She said, how many times do I have to tell you people, get this kidney and take it and put it into somebody else? She didn't care. And this is something that we get to experience on a regular basis at Renewal. We are so fortunate to be able to meet people like this that have these amazing stories. And the truth is, most of our donors don't have good stories. When I started working at Renewal, I made it my business. I do outreach. So I made it my business to go and hear as many stories as I could. I figured I'll sit down with hundreds of donors. We have over 300 transplants that we've been involved in to date. And I figured I'll sit down with many, many of them, and I'll hear these most amazing, wild stories of what inspired them. And I was sorely disappointed, because over and over and over again, I got the exact same response. Why did you donate your kidney? Somebody needed it. How could I not help? There was no wild story or anything like that. It's not a great selling point for me to be able to present, because it was just a simple answer. It was just simply somebody was in need, and I had the ability to help them. I do want to mention, we have in the crowd here, we have 2 donors. They don't like me mentioning them, but since I have the mic, I can embarrass them. Zach, where's Zach? Zach's there. Where's Yocheved?
She's actually calling it.
Yocheved and Zach are 2 donors who happen to be engaged to each other, getting married in a few weeks, which is a nice side effect of the transplant. But they have both will walk around a little bit like this because they only have 1 kidney. I'm just kidding. You walk around totally fine afterwards. But we're going to get into more details about transplants and about kidney donation specifically after the doctor is finished. I think we'll do kind of a question-answer format and answer anything you want to know about kidney donation and all those kind of things. If you have questions, certainly for the doctor, certainly for one of our donors, or for myself, that's what we are here tonight. So without further ado, I want to introduce Dr. Solden, who is a top-notch doctor, but he's also, more important for us, he's a loyal friend of the organization. He helps us. He gives me a lot of advice whenever I have questions. I should give a disclaimer. I know absolutely nothing about medicine. The last class I took was 9th grade biology, meaning the last science class I took. So my knowledge of the kidneys and the body is quite limited. So when I have questions that I want to know, and most of the time it's really just curiosity because I'm not making any decisions, but this is the one I call. This is my confidant and friend. He is in charge. He'll tell you what he does. He's a modest guy, so I'll tell you a little bit. But he works at Hackensack as the nephrologist there. Has his own private practice, right? And a top-notch nephrologist. He won't admit to it, but I'll do it for him. He really is one of a kind. So without further ado, Dr. Solden.